Hey guys, it's Casual Friday, and that means it's Nancy Matz's Friday, and we're going to be discussing the differences between poltergeists and human spirits. See you in about 5 minutes. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust. Turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? Happy Friday. Took me a second to push the right buttons. Give me a second here, another button. My name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. I'm also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team based out of Sacramento, California. We are 45 strong, just been bouncing, up and down the state, which means should you have a paranormal issue or anything else, I'm talking cryptids, paranormal, UFOs, whatever you may have, it may take us a couple days to get to you, but we will always get to you. I'll give you an idea. A lot of people look at California, and what's the first thing you think? Especially if you live on the East Coast, that it's beaches and surfboards and surfers and all that. It is. It's like it's like Hawaii in a lot of ways. But we also have other areas, and the further you get up north, the colder it gets. Even though we still have surfers up north who wear wetsuits, but it does get colder. As you get further and further up in the state. Plus, we've got a lot of mountains. We got a lot of snowy mountains. We've got the Sierra Nevada range. You got big mountains like Mount Shasta and Mount Rainier, and things like that. And so there are those areas. Plus, we've got a lot of farmland, and there's a lot of rural places. There's deserts. You got a little bit of everything. That's why when I say that, it might take us a day or two to get to you, that's why. Because even though we're in certain cities, it's still a drive to get out to people. But in that case, if that happens, we do have mediums on staff who can call you. And in most cases, if it is paranormal related, they can settle the stuff down right away. It lasts at least until we can get out there and do our magic, right? So, yeah. If you want to find us, you can find us on Facebook. You can find it under California Haunts Radio. Under my name, you can find us over at Twitter under California Haunts. Here's where it starts. You can find us on YouTube under youtube.com/@California Haunts Radio. You can find us on TikTok under California Haunts. And you can find us on Twitch under Cal Haunts. So there's all kinds of ways to locate us. That being said, tonight's show, if you like what you see and you're on Facebook and you'd like to see more, hit that follow button if you haven't done so already. Always looking for follows to build ourselves up. Also, in order for us to get put up higher in the FYP, which is the main counting system for Facebook, if you like the show, show us some love. Hit me some thumbs up. Hit me with some hearts. Hit me with, just happy faces. Whatever you want to do. Because that helps put us up higher in the FYP. Also, being in the chat room does that as well. Because the main Facebook brain sees that, and then it moves us out to, what I mean by FYP is it moves us out all in the different directions on Facebook. Instead of just like one. So, any of that will help. Same thing with YouTube. Works the same way. Happy faces and all that good stuff. And if you haven't done so already, I have an announcement to make. We're officially 300 away from 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So we're looking to fill those 300. Let's see if we can do this. Let's hope for a Christmas or October miracle by the end of October. Maybe we can get at least another 100 people subscribing over there. And hopefully by Christmas, we'll have the 1,000, which would be a nice little Christmas present for January. All right. And there are over 780 videos over on YouTube, and it's all this show. It's all about this show. And so they're all in categories, so you can look them up. If you're a big fan of Nancy Matz, she's got a folder over there that you can click on. Just go to her stuff. If you're into alien abductions and things like that, there's a folder over there for that as well. Okay? So check out our YouTube page. And again, the same thing with Facebook. Facebook sees, the comments, or on YouTube same way. They see the comments, they see the little hearts and all that, and that pushes out further in the FYP. Okay, that being said, I'm done yak-yucking. The only thing I have left to tell you is that we do have a meditation club. And if you want to find a way to unwind after work, I know some of you California are just getting off work, or maybe some people on the East Coast want to mellow down after they get off work. I've set up two clubs. I've got a 3:30 p.m. club, which would be 6:30 p.m. on the East Coast. And I've also got a 7:45 p.m., which happens right after this show. Right now, it's 3 days a week. If we get more people involved with this meditation club, I'm going to expand out to maybe 4 or 5 days a week. All right, but it's really restful. It helps you, as far as your stress goes. If you have health problems, it'll help you with it. tell you. Well, I'm not going to say I'm not a doctor, okay? But my experience was with my health problems. It helped my health problems because all the stress. I think all the stress stuff was off. So if you're interested in that, I believe there's links down below the description of this show. And if not, just head on over to the California Haunts meetup page. Just type in California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Meetup, and it'll come right up. And then go to events, and you'll see that. And there, like I said, there's two on there for 6:30 and for 3:30 p.m. Pacific and 6:30. Oh, God, where am I at? Too much. And 7:45 Pacific. Okay, so come on over and sign up. It's $25 for a month, but you're getting guided meditations, and we also talk about all kinds of stuff about your health, and we talk about the chakras and what's going on with the planets and things like that. And I'm even going to be reading some oracle cards there as well for that meditation. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, sign up, sign up, sign up. Okay, that being said, as a ghost investigator, I'm going to fix my little cord here. Last night I fooled so hard I yanked that sucker right out of the mic. First time in 3 years. That being said, stay on track, Charlotte. That being that being said, the topic tonight is something of interest to me because I recently did some research on this because I had the how I do those critique videos of people in their alleged hauntings, and I ran into a poltergeist one, and I did some research because back in the old days when I first started doing this, and I'm talking like 18 years ago, poltergeists were thought to be from, like, say if somebody gets into a fight, you fight with your husband or your kids or whatever, and you go to bed angry, well, your mind reacts to that, and then weird activity starts. Or I've seen it in little kids that are psychic. I've seen it with young kids where the doors, in the middle of the night, the doors in the kitchen will open and close and slam, and all this is going on. And it usually turns out to be the child. So that's one of the mind plays that. But the other things I've been finding out a lot about poltergeist is there's a whole other definition. Maybe Nancy has another definition because I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but there's another thing in addition to what a poltergeist is and what causes it. So the researchers have built on this. So it's going to be an interesting talk tonight. There is a definite difference between poltergeists and regular ghosts or regular human spirit kind. And Nancy's going to be talking about that tonight. It's going to be an interesting conversation. And it's kind of neat to know because a lot of people panic. Just like if a lot of people see poltergeist stuff, right away they think it's a demon. And demons, and this is my experience in doing this. I know Nancy's not into demons and all that, but that works too. But it's been my experience that a ghost can't move more than 2 or 3 pounds. They just can't. It's impossible. So when you have objects moving around your house that aren't 2 or 3 pounds or banging in the walls, that's usually it's usually a poltergeist. All right. And I just kind of double check myself, because ghosts can also move objects, but poltergeist activity can be moved. And I had a case where we went out to this house, and this woman had been fighting with her husband. And supposedly they made up, they went to bed, and that night they had pounding in the walls and woke up the next day and all the kitchen cabinets were open. They didn't have kids. And then she was scared because she didn't know where it was coming from. And the first question I ask people when that happens is, have you guys been getting along? Because that's the first inkling that it could be a poltergeist situation. All right, anyway, without further ado, Nancy's buried her nose into Google and done her research, and so let's get this show on the road.
Hi, everybody.
I'm out of breath now. I'm done.
I love this. I love these topics.
It's the cookies.
I did. Did you eat cookies today?
I had 3 frosted cookies before I came on the
air.
I know.
You shouldn't tell me. I'm her mother of wisdom here. I'm telling you. We talk a lot. You did hit upon a couple of things in my world because I'm seeing these things, and Cheryl called me up. I have an overlap of windows here. Call me up and she'll ask me, and I do remember talking to her about a house full of people, and the lady said they're haunted, and I says, no, she's doing that because the energy I want to put a disclaimer here. There are so many wonderful people out there on YouTube, women, men who do this for a living. And I don't always agree with everybody. And it comes from my engineering, my artistic, my I got to have it this way or that way.
Right.
Uh, I am who I am, and I've looked at things. And Shara called me up, and I'll describe. And I've done this so many times. I was doing Shara, if it was you, let me know. There was an investigation of this large house, and it was over the phone, and someone asked me to see what was going on. And as my mind walked up to the front of the house, all of a sudden I was and I'm going, what's that sound? Of course, no one could hear anything. Right? It was only me. And she said, and everybody was real quiet. All of a sudden, I think there was 2 or 3 people standing real still. And I kept hearing. So I tried to, how is this? How do I do this? Right. And I looked around, and there was a small boy with a stick, a spirit boy
Oh.
with a stick. And he was running up and down the street on the sidewalk, hitting the picket fence. And it was so loud to me, I couldn't figure out how come no one could hear it. Was that you, Shar, that we did?
Yeah.
Was
Yeah, I
that
think so.
your
Yeah.
best?
I think so. Yeah.
And were you able to hear that,
No.
or was it just me? So
Just you.
anyway, okay. So
Just
someone
crazy,
say, "Well, that's
just crazy, Nancy."
well, evidently someone knew of the boy. There was some kind of confirmation, and because of the way he
I'm sorry, I had to do it.
you in fact, I want to find tomorrow. Next Monday is the first. Oh, Sunday's the first. So I got to find my ghost
There you go.
cups also. Uh,
I'll behave. I'll behave. I promise.
right. Let's go there really quick because she brought up something I wanted. So we would assume, hearing that noise, that there was a spirit with poltergeist activity, and I
Mhm.
see a ghost, a spirit that passes over. He stands there, she stands there, and they're ready to move on. There's people around. Hello, hello, hello. And in that person's mind, as a spirit person, they go, wait a minute, I'm not ready to leave. Wait a minute, where's my husband? Where's my kids? Because they're not really aware what's happened that first few seconds. And they can deny the opportunity to go over. Now, that doesn't mean those spirit people are going to let go. They're not. They're just going to kind of step back, and while they have to sort out something, and they allow that. I did I did an investigation without Char. It was in Tucson, Arizona, and this family, mom died in the back room. And I drew a map before I walked in, and I said, I see the front room, I see the hallway, and there's a bedroom here. Is that where she died? And they go, oh, she hasn't gotten in the house and she knows where she's going. Whoa, whoa. Well, that got their attention because I can do that. And that made them aware of not ridiculing me. Of all the things in the world, here I was an engineering supervisor, Pacific Bell, and I traded that in to become a professional psychic medium. Hello. And the year was 1990. And so, in some ways, I couldn't quite let go of that professional side of me. So I've always kept it where I can prove or give proof of what I can do. So anyway, this little boy, he was still an emotive plane. He passed over. He wasn't ready to leave. What kept him here, I don't know, but he was so clear to me. He was a spirit. Was he a ghost? He was a ghost because he was stuck playing. It's like he passed over and he didn't want to stop playing. And someone had evidently known something about it. Sure, it'd be fun if you looked it up. And they realized they did know this story. So the boy must have got killed in the street and he had been playing. How do you get past that? Well, I want to talk about a few things of that type of activity. And I want to read you something really startling. So today on TV, which is September 29th. By the way, this is allergies. I mean, we're supposed to have rain to calm it down, everybody. So this is, I always say, I'll continue doing my job for as long as my voice lasts. And here's one of the
Now you
reason.
know, with this rain, it doesn't matter because my dad used to say, if there's any crap up in the air, it's going to come down. So the allergies are going to be just as bad as they were. Nothing will clean out until there's like 2 days in a row of rain.
Right.
The second day's clean, yeah.
I've talked to Shar off and on almost every day. And about 2 weeks ago, when we had some wind in town, and the wind blowing through the mountains and the trees and the hills and dales.
The
All of a
hills and
sudden I
dales.
start like this. Yeah, hills and dales. I love this.
You said
Anyway,
hells and dales. I caught you. Hells and dales. I heard that.
okay. Poltergeist and Exorcist was on today. Oh, and then
Oh.
Ghostbusters. It's Halloween season, everybody. But it kind of goes in play with what we're talking about. And I have a lot of information. But briefly, I will talk about Poltergeist. And these were, it's kind of the title fits, but it doesn't fit because in the movie there are actually spirit people involved, and the individual that's causing the drama and trauma, the creature, the beast, was actually a human being that never got the satisfaction of being a leader. So they all died. The second, I think it's Poltergeist 2, they talk about the cave underneath the ground, and the leader was a pastor of a group, like a cult environment, and the beast was him having been a spirit. It should have gone on, but he held all his people in the cave. They're all stuck. After a while, he lost his mind. He became insane. And what you see of that beast coming out of that little blonde hair girl's bedroom, blah, 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 you know, the arms and everything going out, was actually what we call insanity. Insanity in spirit, people would call it demons. And a lot of Ghostbusters investigators will go to insane asylums, and they'll go to places where there's such activity and distress and hard, heavy feelings and all kinds of noises and traumas and you know, it's like Europe. You go to a castle and you see a headless spirit walk around carrying something in his hand. You think, oh, that must be his head. And in some ways, they're so distraught and they're so angered and they're so bewildered by what's gone on that they become insane, and their anguish creates an energy field. So in Poltergeist upstairs, when the people are trying to get into the bedroom, the energy, that was him creating his anger. That's a form of poltergeist activity. Now, we're talking about someone creating the activity, like prepubescent people, kids, male and female, not just. And so you look at the movie Conjurer 2, where they go to England, and they're investigating this family, and there's one child involved, and she's throwing things, or seemingly things are being thrown about. Well, it has to be her poltergeist. It's her age, blah, 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 blah. Well, it turns out it was a man who owned that place. And how dare this family move in? And he died in the house. And someone foolish enough left the chair he died in with terrible stains in it. Like, I'm thinking, really? I would sit on a cardboard box before I would sit in a chair someone died in, right? But the poltergeist, the man he came through and was challenged by this little girl a few times and said, well, this is my house. I'm so-and-so. And he had this husky, like my voice is right now. And he seemed quite sane, but he really wasn't. He was very angry that these people moved in. His anger taking over the little girl gave her the strength to throw things about. But was it really her? Because we really never see it. We just see her thrown about. So I believe spirit people can, and don't know everything. Thank God. Thank you, God. Thank goodness I don't know everything. But my impression is that there's electricity in the air, and there's electrical fields around all human beings. And when I do a reading or ghost investigation and there's spirit people there, oh, someone can talk to us, and it get real close, or I'm doing a reading and someone will show up at my office, put their face in mine. How many people have had readings from me? I go, oh my God, someone's want me to see they have blue eyes. Well, that's because the spirit has come in my office and put their face in front of me so I don't miss something. And I can, because I'm an artist, I can give visual description. When they do that, I get real tired. You know why? Because they're sucking up my life force. And I think these despondent humans that become spirit people, that become the ghosts because they can't leave, they become the poltergeists and throw things around, hurt people, it's because no one will listen to them. And they get that energy by the drama and trauma they're causing you by you living there. What are you going to move out? Heck no, you get them to move out. You're the ones live, not them. And what we'll do, well, I'm going to cover that. I would like to address a couple things first before we go there. But Shar brought it up, and I wanted to talk about it. And of course, we got The Exorcist. I prefer not to watch that, only because the little girl's possessed by the demon. Well, you know my theory. Some really sick ghost not spirit, but ghost, but insane, and he wants the attention. So that's what I'm picking up. And then they threw the priests around and then out the window. I can't remember.
As a
And
ghost
whatever happened.
investigator, as a ghost investigator, for as long as I've done this, there's only one movie that scares the hell out of me, and that's the one. That I
Oh,
will not watch
really?
it. Mhm.
I'm gonna have to think about it. I don't like the theatrics of it. It's like there's a child involved, and evidently Linda, the little girl, the adult, the little girl, she's talked about that, and they wouldn't let her see herself in a mirror. But some of the activity that she did do, like the bed floating and all that stuff, it did traumatize her. And I think anything that happens to a child, we got to be real careful, because I think, and I deal with this, the woundology of childhood, the trauma of childhood carries over to adulthood. And I'm going to be talking to someone in the morning about something very drastic, and at times I don't even know how to word it.
And
Someone
you
I
have to
banter with.
remember, guys, back then there was no CGI. So when that
Yes,
bed's
for
floating,
that child.
they had that sucker on a crane or something to make it float because
Yeah. Well, the poor Linda, she talked about it years later, and she says it was very traumatizing to pretend to
I
be
bet it
taken
was.
over. And of course, she's not a stupid child. She wasn't like 5 or 6. She was 11, 12, or 13. I can't remember. She knew what the devil was. But in my world, because I live in my body for a really long time now, over this 3.5 decades, I've been doing this. Believe me, I've never seen a demon. What I see is very emotionally sick spirits, ghosts to poltergeists to insane. And I have seen that insane. And not necessarily so much with Shar, but Port Orange Paranormal and a few other people that invited me to be part of an investigation on the East Coast, where you have insane asylums that are 300 and 400 years old. And
Hmm.
some of those people haven't gone home yet. They are up in the corner of a room. So we were doing this. I can't remember if Shar was involved, but George Lopez was, and I forgot the name of his channel. I apologize, everybody. Anyway, he's on YouTube, and he was investigating a insane asylum. Might be the one up in New York. Anyway, there was a spirit in a room, and it was against the ceiling, and it was terrified, like a frightened kitten would be. Um, kitten, and it was like scared. And I thought, now what do I do? I couldn't even tell what sex the person had been, but it had been that corner of the ceiling for so long. Here we have someone just walking in. Well, how many times has it seen a human live person? How does it even know how to react? Well, the first thing you want to think of is there's going to be harm and damage to me because this is a demon. Well, if you could see it from my eyes, it's the most frightened look you could have presented to me, as though, oh my God, it's like a cat with the claws out. I'm scared to death. And that's the spirit talking. That's not the human going to look at it. All they see is some wavy of the air and some kind of the draining of their spirit because the energy is so strong. And then the entity will push it back on you and you'll say, oh, a demon's hurting me. Well, excuse me. We got to talk about how to get rid of these people. And I was invited to do investigation. I can't tell you because it's something I don't approve of. And they said, "Oh, Nancy, we know who you are." I go, "Oh, really? Okay." There are spirits in our building, ghosts. You are not to remove them because this is our business. And I'm going, "What?" It's like if I can, I'm going to be hitting these cemeteries around here and get rid of these people. What are they standing around for? And every time I go over to our I went to Walmart today and I drove by and I'm trying not to look at the cemetery because if they lock eyes with me, they're in the car with me. I don't want that. So, so it's like, get the people out of there. These spirits, they are entitled to pass over and meet the people that love them. So the people in Tucson, Arizona that I had this investigation, showed them where that bedroom was. Remember, I went back there and I was looking at this dead woman, and she had passed away, and they just wrapped her up in the sheet. So they took her out, but she saw herself that way because she was floating above her body, right? And so when they left, she still continued to see herself that way. And so she just lay down in the sheet, and it looked like she'd been like for burial. She was laying there, and I could see her with her arms up, and she just didn't want to leave. And I said, "What are you doing there?" well, I have to be here. There's this drama, and I go, well, you're bothering the people here. And she looked at me like I was some kind of, what are you? And I looked on the wall, and up on the wall, you can't see, up on the wall to my left, she was on the right, was a portal, kind of like a donut. And it was kind of like wavering. And this sweet lady poked her head through. Oh, we've been waiting for her. You going to get her up? I go, oh, sure. I can do. Who are you? Well, it wasn't her mother, it was an aunt or somebody. And she was just lovely. And women get older, we get lighter. And she had the gray hair, and she was just as cute as a but little round face, little tiny nose, just precious. And I don't remember, it's been 10 years since I did this, but I says, you have someone here in the room with you. And and I told her what she looked like, and she popped her head up. She goes, oh, who's that? She looked up. She said, look up there. And next thing I know, she was gone. It was that easy. And it was like, you have to wake them up. You have to say, so what are you doing there? It's like wake you up. So I didn't want to continue going. I could hear some in the audience say, she started talking about this woman in this house, and then she went off on a tangent. I want to bring up something, like I said, oh, and the other one is Ghostbusters. That's a totally different storyline. The best part of the whole movie was the very beginning when the librarian and the poltergeist reading the books in the beginning of it. Wonderful. I just love that. And they go through and the card file, and the old days in the 80s, everybody, we had card files in the library. If you want to look up to research, you had to go in there like this and find the book and go to the shelf. Well, the librarian, the spirit librarian, she was in there taking care of everything. And of course and you have to remember, it's coming from my point of view. She's a beautiful woman, and then she turns around and sees everybody in her space. How dare her? Then she turns into this monstrous looking thing, and that's her anger of being bothered. Can you imagine all the people that have tender temper adults, rather, they get mad and angry? What if they could see the real spirit face when they get that way? What if we could really see what people look like hidden? I'm so angry. What if it came out like a monster? What would you think? These people are demons? They're angry, and that's how they reflect that anger with a look. Well, that's what's happened in the first part of the movie. Best part of I'd like the rest of the movie, but when I saw this with the spirit of this librarian turn on the Ghostbuster people, I went, oh, someone has a medium on staff, a good one, because she figured out what this was about. Um, so when I was doing some investigating, I want to make sure I don't forget to mention, because I do my world, and I don't know of it all, so I want to make sure I cover some thoughts. I end up typing most of it on my own, because what I read, pretty much what I am and what I know. Unfortunately, a lot of times they would bring up the idea of ghosts too. But I want to bring up something that I did see, and I went, oh, I should mention that. Shadow Man and Ghost versus Poltergeist. Shadow Man is a person from another plane and pushes or to melt into our same space as ours, but not all the way. I went a little bit, not knowing for sure how I want to look at that. Actually know somebody. Trying to think who it is. I think I've had a couple times people mention to me the Shadow Man with the top hat, and it's amazing how many people have seen this. They're sometimes seen with the dog. I think it was a woman talking to me. They saw the Shadow Man, a shadow, but with the top hat that distinguishes a shadow of somebody's spirit versus the Shadow Man. Stand upright, looks like a trench coat look with a hat. Someone said they saw a larger animal, not a dog, big dog. Great Dane, no, bigger. Kind of made me think it was a horse. Now, I've never heard of that, seen that, but this woman implied this was much, much bigger animal. And, you can tell the difference between a cow and a horse. And she implied it looked like a horse. Now, I've never heard that before, but it still needs to be brought up that they're not always by themselves. Shadow Man can show up anywhere in the house at any time. Are they about us all the time? I don't know. I love TikTok and some of the YouTube reels and shorts and all that get caught up. You can lose time really fast. And the ones I like, and I'm into UFO all of a sudden, right, Char? And one of the spookiest things I see was a picture of a woman talking to another friend or relative lady, and the lady on the other side, they're FaceTiming. And the lady at their end got smart and click. And when they got done, they said, "Did you know you had somebody stand behind you?" And it was an alien. Oh, excuse me.
Oh, hell no. Mm-mm.
Oh, excuse me. Yes. But
See
would
ya.
have been a shadow man. Could have been a shadow man.
That's
So
just as
it just
scary.
yes, I read a lot of articles. I have a few publications I like looking at, and of course, there's some that are very formative. I'm trying to get in front of me here, but they talked about this one article, and I said, "Oh, how interesting that I wrote Shadow Man on my notes, and here is in the afternoon, and here is an article about it." And I'd like to read it to you really fast. It's not a lot, but boy, it gave me the goosies. It's another idea on what the shadow man could be. Now, if someone says to me, "I just saw a shadow man. Does this mean me?" Um, so anyway, this is a question posed to somebody in the QUORA.com. Look that up, that website. It's lots and lots of articles, lots of different groups. This is the story. Shortly before my mother died, I would see a dark figure in my doorway, a black figure of a man with a cowboy hat. He never moved from the doorway, and I stopped seeing him after my mother passed away. Was this the angel of death? And this is the answer from Cindy McCrae. And I've signed up, and you can answer questions that are posted in the public. When my son was not even 3 years old, he was standing in the doorway looking out, and I asked him what he was looking at. He said, "There's a man there." When he was around 5, he woke me up saying he was scared because there was a tall man with a hat squatting down across the room from him. When he was 21, I had dropped him off at home after work and he told me about the shadow man he was seeing at night in the house. As he got out of the car, his parting words were, "Oh, yeah, I've been seeing the tall man with a hat again." Within the next month, he took his life. His dad, whom he lived with, told me that he saw the shadow too, not the man. So he saw the shadow, but not the form of a man. He said after our son left, he hasn't seen the shadow anymore, but he does feel like at times there's something there. I'm of the impression that yes, it's a spirit of death angel. It's a spirit of death slash angel of death, whatever you want to call it. I got to a place reading that I went, "Oh, that's perfect for tonight, Halloween." I mean, who's to say? But the people never got back to me that there was death in the family if they seen it. So I'd be curious if the audience would send a note to Shar that if they've known people who have seen that shadow, was their death accompanying them? If he was a shadow angel of death, the spirit of death, kind of confusing there, why would it be an animal sometimes? What I think it is that we live in dimensional spaces. And I think there's people on the other side or some other place that have access to us. And I'm going to make you remember something, a show. And it was on called Fringe. And it was a wonderful series. It went like 7 seasons. In there, whenever there was going to be a disaster, there was always a man in a black suit and a black hat. And he was a witness to unfortunate events, and he would write in his book. So in the series Fringe, the bald-headed men from the future would come back to witness disasters. And guess what? They were in a black suit with a black hat. And I sometimes wonder if witnesses from other parallel dimensional spaces or our future, and I think that's where the Fringe series got the idea, is the man in the hat or people from the future keeping track. I kind of like to go there, but if it involved the death of somebody, I don't know. Well, it's the same with Mothman. Well, how come Mothman showed up in the movie Mothman before a disaster where the bridge fell down. But recently, that Mothman has been seen. So Google recent sightings of Mothman because you'll see some articles about him showing up and other things have happened. Is he the angel of death?
He
What,
showed up in
Shar?
Sacramento about 2 years ago. Somebody
I'd love
saw
to.
him on. Somebody saw him on that Capitol Bridge, the one that looks like the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Forget
Uh-huh.
what that thing's called. Somebody saw him there. I don't know what
But
happened
we've
with
had,
him.
in 2 years, we've had a lot of shootings,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Don't get me started on that, but we've had a lot of death. So it's hard to know, but I would like to do investigation of when he showed up in recent, because it was when Thanksgiving, Christmas for the Mothman experience. And I apologize, I forgot what town it was where the bridge came down, but they saw it half a dozen times within a month of the 2 months of the event. So the Mothman showed up just recently, and I just saw an article a few months back. So it just kind of like sparked a little interest in my mind, because we could go there. Like, is there a difference between the Mothman or the man with the hat? Like I said, the TV series called Fringe, I loved it. And they also talked about parallel worlds. And in Fringe, they learn how to walk through the dimensional space to an alternate parallel exact universes. And so there was two of everybody. It was fascinating. And I'm really into that, all that stuff. I love any science, but when you talk and the movie name of Fringe meant the fringe of scientific discoveries or science, it was like very good. It was very good. And so the shadow and that article conjures up all kinds of thoughts because we don't know where to put it in our mind as far as a ghost or shadow man versus poltergeist. Where does that fit into all this? Well, I think that's another aspect of the paranormal and supernatural. That's part of our consciousness because it does show up a lot more than you realize. In all these years, maybe 3 or 4 times, but that's a lot because there's a lot of peoples that do what I do. And just because I talked to a lot of people in 33 years, how many confided in me? Not that many, but how many didn't tell me? Because who's going to want it? Who's going to believe them? I don't have my mind open to look for that. Maybe I should, because I will talk to people who do end up passing away. Should I see them? Absolutely not. It doesn't have anything to do with me. Okay, so we'll keep going. I hope I'm entertaining you guys. Oh my gosh, I don't have enough time. See, so with that, I have not heard of anybody being harmed by the shadow man. I have not heard of anybody being, I'm walking up to you, I'm going to grab you and hurt you. I've not seen that. They're an observer, just like in the movie TV series Fringe. Those are called the observers, the ones with the black hat. You might enjoy looking that up. When we talk of ghost, pass over and you're just not wanting to go. You're just non-communicative. You're just a conscious entity standing around looking and thinking, well, I don't want to go on. These people are calling my name. I don't have to do anything. Well, in the movie Ghost, Patrick Swayze said the same thing. He was standing there next to the body of his own body. It was dying, and his precious darling girlfriend is holding on to him with dear life. Don't you die. Don't you die. The guy's all out of his body. And all these celestial lights come down, right? And he looks and goes, hell no, I'm not going anywhere. Who just killed me? Well, that's what happens to spirit people that become ghosts. And we have a lot of situations, very not the same. Through the movie, the bad guy gets killed and he witnesses the underworld taking him away, which I have never seen either. I've never seen those dark shadows coming out of the ground. Now that was talk about scary, Char. That scared the dickens out of my one. Am I missing something? But that was in 80, just about the time I got into 90, and I hadn't formulated those kind of questions yet. So I had at that point thought about, should I be seeing shadow? But in these 33 years, I haven't. I've never seen anything gross coming out of the ground with that music, coming to take the soul to hell. So someone who dies and they're desperate, have unfinished business, and they are trying to get to their loved ones. I got to talk to her. I got to talk to her. Afraid to go on. Can you imagine the sailors of past and how the oceans must be full of spirits? They stay in with their boat because they never got to go home. I can't imagine. I would like to think that they got taken care of. I don't know. Guilty over their life. How many of you heard, I'm not going anywhere because, if I do, I'm going to hell? I've killed, I've hurt, I'm maimed,
Mhm.
I've sinned. Even if you sinned, and today we are living those lifestyles, eh,
Right.
we don't have the same thoughts. Um, you die over and say it's a Western. And amazing, my husband loves Western movies, so of course I'm going to look over his shoulder once in a while. And the wagon trains came from the East Coast going west. And those ladies would take their beds and headboards. They would take the dresses with the little fancy mirrors going around because in those years they want to take civilization with them. Well, you can imagine a wagon train getting attacked, right? And those women would probably stay with those beds and those mirrors and those dressers because that was their prized possessions. Or if
Sure.
they put them in homes, because sometimes prized possession is the only thing you have. And we women have a tendency to put value on the things we have around us because it's our nest. And I do
Mhm.
think about that a lot. Now, if you go the same era, and a man is in a fight and he's defending his family and he gets killed, he wants to stay with his family because he wants to have that role. Or he gets killed in a gunfight and he's the one that shot somebody, he just want to move on.
Mhm.
Well, you can take that same scenario to each generation. And the hardest thing, I think, would be military kids during the wars. How many left
Mhm.
terribly young, new wives, children, babies? So I do, and very sensitive to that. No, I don't think it happened to everybody, but we don't know how people think. I could look at somebody all day, but I will never ever step into how they're thinking. That's none of my business. I
Mhm.
will step in time because that is a different place, but I cannot and will not step into Shar and say, "What do you think of Shar?" I mean, that's invasive. I won't do that. So these people, there's all kinds of situations. There are people who die, and grandma's right get there, or grandpa, or somebody, if they're young people. Oh, hello. And then all the fear is gone. They take care of them. Stuck with the object of familiarity. That was just what I spoke to. Um, there are forces we call these are what we call the hauntings. Okay, we call you're either haunted or you're going to be haunting somebody. It's the same scenario. And I've had people call me up. I did some things over the phone to people and try to get these, and they say, no matter where I go, I'm haunted. I got people and forces around me all the time. And I go, really? And sometimes I had to put my mind to it. This one couple, I've mentioned them, this couple before. They had me come to their house. I don't have to go to someone's house because I've moved my mind through phone lines, but people want me to come. And it was early in my career. I didn't have anything else to do on Saturday afternoon. So I went to someone's home, and my mind completely, I put my mind into the house first. As I enter the house, I go from one side to the other, and I go from room to room with my mind to see if someone else is in there, another consciousness. And I looked up, and the hallway was that way, and I felt this man in the bedroom.
Mhm.
And he wasn't in the front room with the couple. I went, what what's in that room? Oh, it's our bedroom, and we got some new furniture. Oh, I would like to see it. My mind seems to want to go there. Okay. They opened up the room, and if you go to Sutter's Fort in Sacramento, downtown Sacramento, you'll see some of the furniture I saw. And at Sutter's Fort, the gold rush, and this was a fort to protect against the Indians. So they made their furniture, and it was timber, like round pieces off trees, and they cut the branches off, make it nice and straight. And then as they would put a straw mat where they're going to put it, so they would tie ropes, and they would string rope across and make it a kind of crisscross. So you would get a lot of straw, and then you throw a blanket, and that was your bed. Well, guess what they got? They got a really big wooden post bed with a lot of rope, and the reason they bought it was very rugged, just gorgeous. The headboard was absolutely gorgeous, carved. I could see why they wanted that. Well, on
Mhm.
the side when you walk in, there was a spirit man laying there. He says, "I ain't moving. Nope, nope. This is my bed. I made this bed."
Mhm.
what they feel when they want that. What happened when they got on that bed? He made me see it did not have a comforter on there. There wasn't pretty sheets. It wasn't a big, thick mattress. It was him on these ropes. And I thought, well, you're determined, aren't you? And I said, so the thought I got was when they got to bed at night, what did he do? Did he go, or did they feel like there were two people there, not one? Because it was the husband's side. And I thought,
Right.
I would have loved to get my head. And I said to him, don't you know you're dead? And he goes, no, I'm not. This is my bed. They're in my space. I says, you did it. And I complimented him. I says, oh my God, you made the most beautiful bed. This is a treasure. And someone fell in love with your bed. You have been dead a while. Why are you here? I mean, you've given this what, and I flattered him. I says, oh, I just like, and the couple looking at me like, so she's figured out where the spirit is that's been bothering us, right? And he left. He was just gone. And it's what we call waking them up. And I was compassionate. I was flattering him. He was a skinny guy. He's laying there with his hands crossed, just like this. And I go, what are you doing there? Like in a laugh. And he looked at me like, she sees me? Yeah. Like, yeah, right? So the emotional well-being of ghosts who inhabit hospitals, mental institutions, very old buildings with unsettling lawlessness or death. So I talked about Allegheny and mental institution that, see, the word came out of me real easily. I wasn't trying to think of it, where that insane ghost was. Lawlessness, I talked about the Old West. We wonder how many cowboys just walk around looking for the guy that killed him, or just a natural death where someone was abandoned. All these reasons can make you. We're going to have to do a show on how not to become a ghost because we did once, but on the heels of this, right? The issues with these locations and the ghosts within, which troubles me a lot. As time go on, these deceased human spirits to become ghosts, if not rescued, may go insane and become so insane as not to be able to be rescued until they're eventually on their own so long. They're ignored so long, and they start wondering why they're standing like this. And the movie, Casey Affleck was the ghost in the movie. I've seen it both ways. I was really determined to give you the right name of this movie. It was called The Ghost. I actually saw it called Ghost also. So Casey Affleck was the ghost, and pretty much like what you see of some who went insane. He wasn't ready. He was a very young man, got killed by a car accident in front of the house. He moved into the house after the hospital. They said, "Oh, you're dead." He took the sheet with him, and he stood in the house as though somehow he would become alive again. He just lost continuity with the life, and he stood there. And after everybody left and they were getting ready to tear the house down, my gosh, there's a house next door. And he looked out the window and this guy got his attention. Hi. And he says, I don't think I need to be here anymore. And that ghost was gone. Poof, it was gone. And so the Casey Affleck, and on the sheet, he looked around and he said, why am I here? She's not coming back. Poof, he woke up. Being awake matters. And they get so unawakened, meaning they get stuck in the thought process. They do the loop over and over and over. And I'm bringing that because the next area, until they figure out who they are, they will stay that way. And in that movie, The Ghost, with Casey Affleck, he does cause poltergeist activity. And the reason is that he's frustrated because the wife is not coming back. But these other people are there, and with kids, with their kids' energy, energized him enough that he could cause some destruction. Well, it caused the people to move out. And after a while, someone said, no one wants to live there. Let's tear the thing down. And that's what happened. Remember, I want to remind you, because I wrote it here. I want to talk faster. I have to go to a place I've realized that most people feel comfortable with the idea of demons and other celestial beings for their religious outlook. And I'm a spiritualist minister, have been since February 92. And that was very important for my stepping up and leaving the telephone company to do this full time.
Mm-hmm.
This is my truth. Is it possible that I'm not allowed to see demon sorts of people? But I think a demon would sort me out and say, um, oh, this woman, let's get her attention, right? Let's get her
Mm-hmm.
attention, cause me grief. I've never had it. I've had some spirit people cause me grief because they're just stinkers, so but never a demon, never a tormental type of person. I took a course of miracles, and it was in the 80s. It was very popular. Everybody was taking the course. And someone, I don't know how, because I've always been this way. So it was before I got to Spirit of Graces, a Universal Christ of the Master Spirit of Grace, Citrus Heights, California. A lot to say, but I wanted you to know who I belong to. Anyway, she saw something jump into her kitchen. And the only thing was that she says was an ugly dog, and it was ferocious, and it was huge, and it was furry or hairy like a bear.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. She says it jumped through a wall into her dining room, and it took off. And she had no words for it. And it scared her. It never happened again, but it didn't allow her to be safe in her home anymore. She didn't feel safe. She says, what if it's seen me? I can't answer that. I don't know what that was. I think it was a dimensional rift of some sort. And Skywalker Ranch is one of my favorite movies because I do believe we have portals everywhere. And I think sometimes other animals from different dimensions can fall through. That doesn't mean they're corporeal. Doesn't mean they're going to attack you. Okay. So I just want you to know this is a disclaimer, my truth only. These people who go insane, they want attention. They're desperate, not knowing why they are like they are. Oops, we got rain. I hope it's raining really hard here. All of a sudden I can hear it. If I get lost, be sure I'll be back. And often because of the passage of time, seeing the world, and they are not the same as they left. So things change. They'll finally wake up. It would be difficult to figure these issues out, to talk to these people, to move forward, to go through in your mind those issues with curiosity, what could be going on. So if you know what generation, what culture, think through what could be wrong. Are you missing somebody? Were you looking for your wife? Are you looking for your husband? Did you have a child you left behind? Those common things start with possessions. Is the house important to you? Who they were, appease their fears of being there, sympathize, give them a lot of sympathy. You have been here for so long, and say it with conviction, and say it with empathy, because that will get to, because no one's ever paid attention to them that way. They've never had somebody that said, oh, I'm so sorry, you've been here for so long. And they go, wow, look at the attention I'm getting. Oh, someone's paying attention to me. And they look around because they haven't had that. Most of the time, people come and scream at them. I'm going to get you, you poltergeist, you demon, I'm going to get you. Instead, go in there with sympathy, compassion, and empathy. And then you can wake them up and they can be on their way. And lastly, the compassion followed by the sympathy. Find out what any history, if warranted, like an unfortunate death. And I know that Shar, before going to investigation, she does look at the house and she looks at the history. And I find that really interesting. The night that we had the call-ins, some people said, who's standing behind next to me? And I described their dead relatives. The one in Pennsylvania got my attention. And the reason is this young man lived in a house. He did research. And I said, oh, I see something very odd. You have a whole line of men, like 12 or 13 men in spirit, from the right side of the house going as an arc all the way to the back. I says, why am I shown that? He says, well, there was a mine close by, and it collapsed, and a whole bunch of men were killed. Well, those men want us to know they're still there. Why? I don't know. I don't want to go to Pennsylvania. This kid needs to go there and say, okay, you guys, time to leave. You don't have to be here. You don't have to support the mine anymore. You don't have to say, okay, what do I do now? You can find your relatives and go on, because it was quite a while back. It's a plane going over. I thought, wow, that's really a heavy storm here. So when you go into places where there could be those kind of individuals, I'm trying to talk quicker, feelings of heavy, oppressed, negative energy, unfortunately hear voices, and you can hear sounds like I did, can feel the negative action over and over of what caused the ghost environment in the first place. I'm talking about ghosts that can create because they're angry, frustrated, and to the level of being insanity, where they then create what we call the poltergeist activity. Now, remember, we started talking earlier, and I made you think of Conjuring 2, where the couple, the husband wife team, can't remember the actor's name, sorry. They go to England to figure out why this happening. And of course, the man died. Cherry, he's taken over this little girl, and he's sucking the life force out of everybody because they're all exhausted. And what's happened is that ghost not went insane. He became a poltergeist person also. And in the movie, they're trying to blame it on the little girl getting into puberty or wanting attention. There's all kinds of other reasons. A ghost, and remember, ghosts can present some physical form, but a ghost that goes on the verge of insanity that causes poltergeist activity, normally you don't see them as much as you feel the force of them. When I saw the insanity of the individual in the corner when they walked into a cell in Allegheny mental institution, I see it as a blob. They have forgotten what they look like because they've been in spirit for so long and they've been insane. So I look at disturbances, and I don't know how I know where to look. I've done this for such a long time. Maybe I just had a feel of it. And when I tell people, okay, when you want to look at a UFO, you have to identify who we are, how it feels to talk to somebody, know our electrical charge and our energy. So when you put your mind to the sky, you wish around, you try to find other things that, not trees, a little higher up, that create that disturbance. And as we're finding out, the UFO people have figured out a way of negative energy, a magnetism of which we're made of, the same as our energy field. Same with poltergeists. The energy field is what they suck the life of to get active. And when they're mad, they throw that around. I hope I didn't lose anybody. That sweet lady called me. If you want me to do the show again, touch base with Shar. She's the one that was scheduler. Reason with the kind of entity who is angry, upset with the circumstances, can be difficult to get them to even reason with. And that's why I encourage, and I'm saying this here, sometimes we need the investigators come out, because you'll have to be very patient and you'll have to talk to them very logically. And sometimes you have to go back a couple times, 2 or 3 times possibly. They will want their way. They do not want you to talk to them into leaving. How dare you change their home and their possessions? They get very, yeah. And then I wrote this in here: in old European castles, stories of ghosts and poltergeists abound. From entities walking hallways, crying and screaming, or manifesting, trying to find their heads. I typed that in, then I kept typing. A lot of ghost stories where poltergeist activity is observed. A famous picture of a man with a cloak shutting the outside doors of an abbey. This is a very famous picture. It's a castle-looking environment, and this very tall, shadowed, but you can see the cloak on him. So he looks like he might have been, it's the big heavy glass wood, steel doors of an abbey. So someone on the other side would hear him grab those doors and pull them shut, clang, right? So on the other side, down the hall, around the corner, you're going to hear a crop, right? Of the bangs banging. Oh, there's something going on. There's a demon closing doors. Well, it's this guy saying, someone's always leaving this darn door open. So I'm going to close it, because he's possessive of his property. That's why he never moved on. He's in that abbey. He's going to stay there, and he's going to keep the gosh darn doors closed no matter what you do. If someone were not sensitive or watching at the exact moment, might hear the big heavy metal doors closing. Here in America, many pictures of school activity, poltergeist activity, like knocking over metal filing cabinets in a school hallway. Very famous clip. I've seen it a dozen times. I don't know where it is, but you've seen him in the hallway, the camera in the ceiling looking down, and there's mops falling over initially, and then all of a sudden the filing cabinets go wrong. Those things are heavy. How are they doing that? Well, they're frustrated and angry. Maybe they like the kids to be there, so at night they get frustrated because the life force that and they enjoy. Oh, well, look, feel all this young energy. Well, at night they're all kind of buzzed up, and then they take it out on their environment. That's my perception. But you also have a bunch of kids that are all prepubescent or highly, I want to find a nice word, jazzed up about the other sex. But if that were so, the activity would happen in that moment. But the buildup also could be the poltergeist activity that Shar brought up earlier. What if that hallway where the activity is a buildup because that was a corner everybody goes to, they have this, let me have a little kiss corner, a little excitement, and it builds up, and at night when no one's around, it goes like fireworks. Why not? Why not? Now we're going to blame it on a demon. In reality, the unconscious mind can create this energy through anxiety, puberty, violence, mental illness. I always sorted that out with you once. These situations need to be approached carefully because there should not be any blame, just compassion. You can't put blame on somebody for wanting to stay around, be by the possession, or having some other interest, because every human being thinks differently. Thank goodness we're not all the same. What makes the world go round, right? Many TikTok clips of poltergeist activity, which are fun to watch, and I'm one of them to see. We talked, Ashar has evaluated some of these shorts to weed out the ones that are trying to get publicity, and she just did that recently. As with a ghost hunter, trying to reason with a ghost who's angry, upset, to move on can also be trying. It could take someone like a ghost investigator to get recordings and attempt to reason over and over. This process could take a little longer than a haunting because the entity who is haunting with poltergeist activity is more likely desperate to not leave, desperate to find their loved one, or the one who killed them. Anger is not wanting or afraid to move on. The poltergeist is very upset, angry, disturbed, possessive. Talking to them is to find out what happened. You have to be careful. And this is when I encourage EVPs. Even in a cemetery, I mentioned this a long time ago. Kathy Perk was responsible for the Rockland Cemetery. And I was invited to go out there. And I said, I'm kind of like a person that would like somebody there that knows some of these stories in case I bring up something. And why give me, okay, you can just do an investigation, but if there's no historical, and I've told this to Shar, it doesn't give me incentive to try really hard. Just, if I know someone's there that gives historical accuracy, that makes it much more fun. Oh, yes. So we went to the cemetery. Can't remember who I went with. Anyway, there was a bunch of people. The cat is, my cup almost wants to go woof woof on the cat over here, and the table was shaking. I went, Mom, we got an earthquake. Look at that. Anyway, this spirit man said, tell them I didn't kill myself. Okay. And I told the people, Kathy, there's someone here who knows about this guy and that he didn't kill himself. And she says, oh, yes, he did. He slid right off the road. And the man said to me, it was raining. I slid on the ground. Oh, it was June 19th. What are you talking about? I says, I'm only the messenger. She calls me back. Guess what? It was raining the night he got killed. He didn't kill himself. It was an accident. Very important for insurance. If I hadn't gone, now, was that free will? Absolutely not. Guess what? They got hold of Kathy. By the way, would you get Nancy down there? We got to prove that this guy didn't kill himself. I'm only a tool, everybody. Keep remembering that. Only time can correct these hauntings a calm, collected person or group to talk to them and make them understand they do not have to be in the space they're in. And so the man at the cemetery, how awful, how long, well, it was a recent death because I think it was in the fall, this time of year. Oh, let's get Nancy do a tour or do something, and get me out there where the spirits are. And how many months did this man agonize over the idea that the family thought he killed himself? That's terrible. And I don't know how the universe can work it that this man would be there, but his family would show up. So the manipulation of Kathy to call me, it's that time of year, Nancy, let's do a tour. Oh, sure. I love doing that. By the way, Kathy, would you make sure that if we're doing this, there's some people who have people there? And they got the man's family members, and they were older, so it could have been a mother. He was a younger man. So it might have been his family. And they now know he didn't kill himself. That's as good as it gets, everybody. I love it. 7:34. Awesome. I did it.
You did it.
I hope you guys had fun with this.
It is 78% humidity right now.
Well, it's raining
I
here, so it's probably that
I am
also.
dying. I mean, I am just it's just dripping right now off of me. That was a really good show. Thank you.
You're
That was a
welcome.
really good one. Yeah, that was a good one.
I like, is Trish in the room too?
I think she's
Oh, she
listening.
was.
She's
Okay,
listening.
okay. Um,
Now I get to do this.
I happened to just notice a couple of the shows that I'm glad I did. Of course, there's no mistakes, and I always realize that if I have a chance to talk to a group, there might be some in the audience that will deal with something like this.
Hmm.
And how many of us wear grandma's jewelry or something else,
Yeah.
right? Make sure it's clean, everybody. If you feel grandma wearing you, you are you wearing grandma. And little clearly, I gotta back this up. They say, "How do you clean it?" Well, you thank grandma. That's how you do it. Thank you for giving me this, and I'm going to wear it with a lot of love. You don't have to worry about it. I will take care of it. No, you don't put it in salt. You don't put it in dirt outside. It gets dirty that way. Sorry. I'm I'm going to get someone mad at me. Ah, shoot. Sorry. Oh, say, how about thifters that go to the thrift store and buy this furniture or they buy the jewelry? Oh,
Oh
that's
yeah.
just right. Oh yeah. Well, I've picked up some jewelry and I bless it. Best way to do it. I thank them and I say, whoever made this, it's beautiful and I'm just going to really take care of it for you. Same with this house. We move into a house and I'm the kind of person that goes in there and makes it better. And these
Hmm.
spiritual people show up. That happened the last one. The lady was really mad. Who are you doing in my house? I says, I'm going to take care of it. But it's not yours anymore. Leave. I'm going to paint it. All right, everybody. I could talk all night. And I sound a little better than when I started. So
Yes.
coffee works.
Yes.
All right,
Well,
Shar.
I think I lost like 5 pounds. I didn't realize the humidity was that high. Wow, it's almost 80%.
Okay. So before we go on to everything, make sure you give us a thumb up if you like
Yes.
what I talk about. If you want to have me talk about something special, either Nancy at nancymatzpsychic or
Hmm.
Shar, I don't know which email you give, but sure you get back to us because I like doing this and I want to do one on free will coming up. There's a situation, a reading, and oh yeah. Okay. And near-death experiences and near-death experiences with the idea of free will tied together. And
Hmm.
that'll be maybe
That's
next
cool.
week's.
That's cool. That's
Okay.
cool. Okay.
How near-death
All right.
experiences changes our path. Okay.
There we go. All right. Remember that. Remember that because we're going to talk later. We always do. Okay. So Sunday I will be back at 6 p.m. reading Omnipresent What Happened Next. And then Monday our guest is Heather Lay, and she's going to be talking about haunted ghost towns of southern Nevada.
Oh,
So that'll be Monday's guest. So be
there
on
we
the
go
lookout
with
for
the
that.
haunted stuff.
Yep. It's Halloween. It's Halloween month. Here we go, right?
Oh, I love it.
And
I love it.
also, the paranormal team, California Haunts team, is actually going to be going out and doing a couple of live investigations.
Ooh,
Trying
right.
to get into a couple of hotels or someplace to do this, but we're going to be going out and we will be airing probably. A lot of you guys aren't on TikTok. I know you guys are afraid of TikTok. It's a lot
Afraid?
easier because of the China thing and all that.
Oh,
And see, the thing is, here the conundrum of all this is that the broadcast quality on TikTok is 100% better than it is on YouTube. I'm going to just say that out front. So I don't know how I'm going to do this, and I'm really not acclimated to broadcasting on YouTube. On YouTube, I have to use a mic, which really bites.
mhm.
But I mean, there's nothing wrong with YouTube. Don't get mad at me, YouTube. I'm just saying. This is my experience. When I went to Disneyland, I discovered all these little glitchy things. So I'm going to try and figure this out. Either we'll broadcast live on TikTok, and then I can transfer it over to YouTube, even though the quality is not going to be that great, or we'll just broadcast on YouTube and Facebook, through StreamYard
Oh,
to keep the quality up, and go with that. So I don't know how we're going to do that yet.
hmm
What guys normally do out in the field, the ones that are making good money, to do this stuff, they have two cell phones.
oh,
So one will record YouTube and one will record TikTok at the same time when you're live. So you go live on both.
mm.
So I'm trying to figure out the logistics on that, but we are going to
Why don't
do
you
one or two.
borrow someone's cell phone?
I might do that. I might do that.
As easiest.
So yeah, so we're going to be doing hopefully two live investigations October that you guys can watch, and you guys can join in on and talk to us, while we're out in the field. So it's going to be interesting to do that. Again, if you guys are interested in calming yourselves down and getting in that after work, join my meditation club. Check it out. You go to California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team Meetup. Sign up over there under events. That being said, I'm done for the night. Nancy's done for the night. Oh, yes. And I hate to do this. There's that ticker at the bottom of the page. It's that time of the month where our bills are coming up. And you guys can help me out with that. You don't have to. It's not. It's nothing. I'm not going to hold a gun to you to do it. But if you would feel in your heart to help me out with that, that would be great. So I can get some of my bills paid. That's how we keep the show on the air. That's the way the show operates. And so far, we've been here almost 4 years, so must be doing something right. And then the donations we have gotten in last month, that was fantastic. Thank you very much. But you can donate at, I can't remember how to do this. I haven't done this in so long. I don't even know what the thing is down there on that thing. Let's see. Help keep this show on the air. Oh, there it is. Donate to paypal.me/California Haunts. Or if you have a Venmo account, you could just look for California Haunts and do it from there. But I really appreciate it. You don't have to, but it's just, just trying to keep everything on the air, keep the equipment running, and all that good stuff. All right? Anyway, that being said, I'm going to shut up. If you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, share it with 5 of your enemies. Again, we're trying to build this up into something really cool. I can, and hopefully if I hit that 1,000 mark, we can start monetizing over on YouTube. We're 300 away over there, so if you're watching from YouTube and you haven't signed up yet to subscribe, please do so. And also on Facebook, if you haven't signed up yet to follow us, please follow us over on Facebook, because I see the Facebook audience is starting to grow now too. So I thank you all, and I will see you guys Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific. Have a great weekend, you guys.